Welcome to Lifessa Lounge episode 6, boys. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good stuff. What I wanted to talk about today, or what we were going to discuss, I think we should discuss a key principle that's needed within business.
Yeah.
So what do you think would be a key principle needed within business?
Well, I think one that's hugely and massively overlooked is the importance of just giving to the customer, right? I think way too many people start out, they've got a new business idea and they're always looking on how they can exploit it for their own gains. Like, everybody goes into business to make money, right?
Yeah.
But I think some people focus on, right, how do I make the most money to take the most out of the business myself, rather than how can I give the most value to the customer, right? I just feel that it's just overlooked just how immensely important it is focusing on that given piece, because that's the difference between getting the one-off sale, right, and getting a customer for life and gaining that loyal following.
Yeah.
So I just that's at the core of any business, and I just think so many people just overlook the importance of it.
It sounds better even with sales. So when you're selling something, if someone's told you, I'm doing this because I want to improve your life, then I'm doing it because I want to get rich quick. It just sounds better as well. It sounds like it also feels better for the person that's buying it off you. Like, this person's doing it for my best interest, not just because he wants to get a sale.
But the thing is, aren't all businesses there to make money though?
Businesses are there to make money, but they're also there to add value to the customer and their base and their environment. So,
yeah.
But that's the thing, right? You say aren't businesses there to make money? Of course they are. But who do I buy from? The person who gives me. What you find is the easy actual way is to slowly show the customer how much value you can offer them before you get the sale, because then the sale comes naturally, right? But what it is some people focus on, right, and you get them. You know when you get those stupid emails that come through, this massive, long, and don't get me wrong,
spam emails.
And I know the sales, I know the marketing pitch works, right? It's old school, but it still works. But what they're doing is, right, I can give you all of these wonderful things, and actually all they want is a one-off sale. Then there's an upsell, right? And you buy it from them, you don't really get any value off it. They've got the money in the bank, right? But then you've got the difference between the people, and you get it today where you've got, especially services businesses, and this is why the online platform has made it totally, it's just changed the game. I know we're a long way down with the internet now, but the internet allows you to go out to the customer and give them the value, and you get that through the content marketing and the websites and blogs, etc. Yeah. So like our blog, right, we give you content. You don't have to pay for that. It's free content. It's value to the customer to add to life. Nobody's paying to watch this podcast right now, right? It's giving value for free. You give the value out to the customer, and then you actually make them want to come and do business with you,
so what you're saying,
as opposed to going straight in for the kill.
Is build a part of the business where you do offer a free service to add that value, and then you then.
I don't even think it's build part of the business. No? That's how you build. Your principle should be on focusing on the customer, and focusing on the customer, you focus on giving immense value, right? If you can give that with your products, great. Every product should offer value to a customer. But the way you build into that sale is looking to give the value to the customer, not just looking for the sale.
It's the intrinsic and extrinsic values that you're gonna add. So, for example, like the biggest service industry when I think about adding value is travel. In regards to
travel, not public travel.
Not public travel, but in terms of airport airlines.
All right, yeah.
So they add value in the sense of
the little things,
they do, the little perks they give you, when they give you the hot flannels when after a long journey. That adds value to. You don't pay for that. You might be putting a price, but they add value to your journey, and you feel like I want to go back to that particular airline because they've made me feel a certain way.
Also, customer service as well, and having a brand. And everybody within that brand knowing exactly what the company stands for.
But then also what I'd say is when you add value, it also increases sustainability in your business. Because what Ben was saying before, like when you add value, customers come back. And all that gives is sustainable growth, because as customers keep coming back, they're going to tell other customers that the value that you've given to them, and that gives you sustainable growth, and that leads you.
And that's the point, right? Because when you give the value back, that's looking at the long game, not the short-term quick sale. Because if you're continually focused on, right, I just want to exploit the customer to get everything I can get out of it, that's when you get the person who starts up business after business after business, but none of them are long-term and sustainable. They just get quick little successes and then they're gone.
That's the difference between an entrepreneur and a hustler. Hustler thinks about quick sales, 1, 2, 3, I'm gone. Entrepreneur thinks about the long game. I want to build a business. A business is there. It's still another entity. So you want it to be there for a long time. Hustlers wants it to be there.
No, I think that's a bit wrong to say. Because I think hustlers they're within an entrepreneur. They're their own hustler.
I think it's a difference between what is considered. So a hustler. So what you're talking about is the old school version of a hustler. And he's right. The old school version of a hustler was just looking for that quick win, right? Yeah. Whereas now, hustle and hustling has taken on a different connotation, right? So when you look at a hustler now, a hustler is a person who's ready to put in
I'm a hustler.
But it's a different form now. So I understand what you're saying, but that's more the old school mindset. I would look at it. Well, to be honest, I would straight up the con artists. That's what I'm talking about. The con artists out there. They sell you a dream, and then they don't deliver it. But by the time it's too late. They've already taken your money and they've run, right.
They're not going to get repeat business, referrals, recommendations.
And that's what I mean. It's not sustainable. And that's why they may just rinse and repeat on little businesses. Right? I've opened up 10 businesses. None of them were sustainable. And over the long course, it's not going to work. It might serve you for like a 3 to 5 year period on multiple businesses, but in the long term, it's not going to work, right? So that's why it's so essential. And the thing is, every product, and especially every person who backs up the product, excuse me, has something unique to offer, right? And I think it goes back to the topic when we discussed about your strengths and weaknesses. You need to understand where you've got an individual strength and something that's unique about you. What can you do to offer absolute maximum value to the customer, right? And then really focus on that. And when you've got a team of people, all focus on it, right? Because then, you're putting the customer first. The customer's always right at the end of the day. So it doesn't make any difference how good you think your idea is. The customer is always right. What is going on in the market is always right?
You see all the businesses online in terms of how Twitter and Facebook are always evolving, because they're constantly asking their customers how you want to improve the service they're providing to you. So they're always offering surveys. They're going out there to listen to the customer and saying, what can we do to improve? Because if Facebook just still gave the first iteration of Facebook, they wouldn't be Facebook where they are today. Facebook literally changed over and over again. I remember when Facebook when it was 2006, 2008, when it changed in 2008, people were like, oh my god, they changed the interface. I know. People actually wanted that.
Well, that's what happens with businesses, isn't it? You do a lot of focus groups and a lot of marketing, and then they find out what everybody wants. What's it called? The name is sort of lost me. When they have those focus groups.
Well, they have multiple avenues, right? They have focus. What you find nowadays is more and more people seek feedback. You have the questionnaires that come out, the ratings, the reviews, and the thing is, they send them out there, but it's also on whether you actually listen. So sometimes they just do it to do it. You're not actually seeing any differences on it. What Josh is talking about there, and online you do see the most of it, is technology moves so fast nowadays. It's the person who can jump on and make the most out of what the new technology is and how to use that to offer back to the customer. And again, it's one of those, you can look at a new advancement. So when Snapchat has new features come up, or Snapchat itself when it comes out, right? And when you've got whatever the next Snapchat is going to be, like I know people have hyped up on what Musical.ly and how you can exploit that. It's another platform to get out to your customer, and then you can use that platform to find a way to give the best value. And I think that's a big difference as well. When you're giving value to the customer nowadays, you have multiple platforms to be able to do it. So as much as you need to focus on what it is that you can offer, you need to work out what is the best platform to get in front of whoever your specific demographic and target audience is, right?
With all the different platforms that you've got now, wouldn't you think it would be better to sort of go through all the different channels and just mass market and
well, it depends on depends on the nature of your business.
Okay.
Because each platform has a different demographic.
A hairdresser's probably working on more micro levels than the macro levels, where she's working on her own locality, or his own locality. Yeah. So when you're saying the macro, do all avenues, he or she has to think about what's the best avenue for me. So if I was a hairdresser, or I wouldn't want to be going trying to get Facebook and trying to get international sales and get people in Kuala Lumpur to try and get me cut their hair. Yeah. I would try and focus on in the location I'm in.
What I meant by that was, do you go on Instagram? Do you go on Facebook? Do you go on Snapchat? Do you go on local papers?
You use the things that are best for you. I'm saying, like, if you're a hairdresser, you would use Instagram because people like to see face pictures. You wouldn't use Twitter as much because people wouldn't want. They might not want to have 140 characters about hair, but you might do a video.
I would say that the game changes so fast, the technology nowadays. It's becoming easier to do it across platforms. So things like Twitter and Instagram, Snapchat, perfect example, right? You can do your geo-targeting of it now, right? So you can use it as an avenue to get towards your target audience. So again, it's whatever your target audience is. If it's local, it doesn't stop you from using the worldwide platforms because you can now geo-target them. So I can go and use a Twitter, I can go and use Snapchat, but I don't have to focus out to the world. I can focus on people in my immediate surroundings, right? So again, it's working out. What you need to do is, again, start with the customer. So right, I'm going to go, this is my customer, this is how I give them the most value. Yeah. Now I want to get that value from me to them. What are the avenues that I can use to do that? And then you map out which the specific ones are. Should you go on a whole mass marketing? Probably, well, I say probably not. You could find different ways to exploit it in different areas, right? But then you might spend it, you try and go 100% across the spectrum, you might only really be having to focus on 20% of those. So it's focusing on, again, it's just analysing and paying attention to that customer and saying, right, what is the best way to get out there? Because, yes, they can pick you up across multiple avenues, but then you've just got a lot of wasted effort and a lot of wasted time, right?
Yeah, because you have to work smart as well when you're building.
Well, you've always got to work efficiently, right?
So you don't mass market for no reason.
Well, I wouldn't mass market for no reason, and then sometimes you just end up spam. It just ends up like spam. And like Josh said, if you're going to use Twitter, you just need to, if you use the hairdressing example, you need to work out the specific way to do that. I would argue you can still use it, right? Because the thing is, your Twitters and hairdressers and stuff like that, they can blow up on there. Same as YouTube. You can use YouTube, right? 5 tips on how to cut hair. Because it doesn't have to be somebody, and that's the difference. And in fact, that's actually a brilliant example you've used there. I'm a hairdresser and I want people to come use me as a hairdresser, but they're going to pay me when I cut their hair, right? But offline, I'm going to give them videos on 5 tips to look after your hair, the 5 best products you can use. Something that is not going to give me, it's not going to put money in my pocket, but it's going to give them immense value. And then they say, oh, do you know what? I really like that post that they did on that, and I went out and bought this new shampoo, and I went out and bought this, new conditioner, or whatever it is, hair treatment, whatever, right? That hairdresser automatically then sticks in that customer's mind. Yeah. Obviously, you have to be able to cut hair as well. Yeah. That's essential. But what I'm saying is you're offering the value outside of what your direct service is. So actually, that's a really good example.
Yeah, it's about just going the extra mile, isn't it? Well, I think that's one thing I always learned when I was growing up is going the extra mile. And I always thought if you do that, you will add value, you'll get repeat business, you'll get repeat customers. And like you said, that would then be sustainable long term.
Then my account for that would be then you have to understand and control expectations. When I say that is what my rule in life is
manage customers' expectations.
Under promise and over deliver.
So
if you over promise, you say I can do this, I can do that, and do this, and then you don't deliver, then people have that. It falls back negative on you. But you've
got to be careful with that though, because if you under promise and then the next person is promising something more than what you're under promising, then you lose business straight away.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
Will you though? Because so it is a balance, but if I offer, and I wouldn't say under, I do say under promise and over deliver. That's kind of like
that's
around it.
Slowly,
that's like slowing around.
Yeah.
But what the emphasis of that and what underlies it and underpins it is be realistic on what you can offer, right? Yeah. So you're not letting customers down.
Yeah.
Okay.
With some customers though, they want to hear the big dream and something that's not realistic, and then you will have another person who maybe is not ethical, like we are, and it says, you know what, I don't even think I can deliver this, but to get your business in, this is going back to the people that are the one-stop shops.
But that's the difference, right? Long-term and sustainable.
Yeah.
The funny thing is also, that person will fail, and it'll come to me.
Do you see? And that's what I mean. And so that's why you shouldn't be fussed. Don't worry about focusing on what you can offer. Don't worry about. I don't care about the person who promises the world, right? The world is full of them. Like I say, the world's full of con artists, right? But the bottom line is, yes, somebody wants to be sold. Everybody wants to be sold a dream. Everybody wants to be sold how to become a millionaire overnight. But it's not going to happen, right? So they go and they do the business with this person, and then they realise it's waste of money, and then they go back to, and it could be they come to you, they go to somebody else. The bottom line is they go to somebody who actually can deliver. And to be honest, in life you have to get slapped around the face a couple of times before you learn your lesson, right? So you get burned.
Yeah.
People will get burned. There's nobody who's gone through life, unless you've gone through life literally so reserved that you've never taken a chance on anything, then you would have been burnt at some point in time. You learn your lesson and then you're like, actually, do you know what? I'm not. When something sounds too good to be true, it usually is.
But you know, this is all right. The customer's always right. This is something. This is a personal thing that I sort of need to get better at. But I've been in positions where I am being, because I'm an ethical person. I like to do things the right way, and I'll say, you know what, I can do this, and that's a good standard.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got somebody else that's promising something that's unrealistic, and then they've gone over there, they've been burnt, and then they try and come back to me. And then I've turned away business saying, you know what? No, you didn't want to listen to me in the first place. And that's a personal thing for myself. But that's what's happened to me.
So I wouldn't. So I would not ever turn away unless it's been particularly rude to you, right? And they're not the kind of customer you want to do business with.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, you want to serve a customer, right?
Yeah.
I always feel that if you're serving a customer properly, then they're not gonna be in that manner to you. They're not going to come at you rudely if they're
no.
You're going to get people who are always going to try and put you down because that just happens.
Yeah.
I would never say that you're going to turn away a customer because you didn't use me before and you got burnt. Because I understand in life that these things happen, right? You can't get away from them. So I'm not going to hold a grudge against somebody because they didn't. If they come back and say, oh yeah, I went to somebody else and I got burnt by it, can I actually get advice from you? Can you offer me this service that you were saying you could offer before? Yeah, sure. Because why would I turn away business? Why would I turn away a customer?
You should walk around
in business.
I'm just so ethical like that. I just sort of put myself in that position, and I'll be like, you know what? I wouldn't go back to that person.
I wouldn't say that's ethical. I would say you've got. That's part of the principles that you're sticking to. I wouldn't say that's part of it.
Not quite ethiple. Yeah. Probably using the
wrong word. I'd work on them with open arms. I'd be quite smart, but I'd work on open arms. I'd be like,
so why would turn away? Why do it be smart? I'm like, do you know what? For once, I'll know I understand you're the person here, and that's unusual for us.
No, I'll just be like, yeah, come to me. That's all right. You learn your lesson. Because you'll stick with me next time. Because you're like.
100%. 100%.
You're like, this guy's actually the real deal.
Because when you go and deliver to them, they'll be like, why did I even go there in the first place?
It's my fault that I went over there in the first place. It's not his fault. So I think that comes with, we say add value, but it's value for money at the same time. So when things are too good to be true, something sounds really good and they're offering a large service for very cheap, usually we have to understand how they're able to deliver that service. So it's just being value for money as well as adding value, which is intrinsic with like an airline or getting your hair cut. So it's just understanding.
I think the airline was a great example.
It's just understanding what adds value, but also in regards to like customers always being right. But you also have to as someone providing a service, customer might not see something that they might need, and it's out there. Take for example, like Steve Jobs with the iPad. There was no demand for it, but he understood what customers were needed, and then actually asked for it outright. But he was able to say, okay, customers will need this in the future because that's where it's going, and then he was able to offer that service.
Yeah, but I would say he's still so it's not about but when I said I mixed that with the customer is right and the market will dictate, right?
Yeah.
So actually in that instance, yes, the customer doesn't always know what they want when they haven't had it before, but he understood the market, he understood where the world was going, and he used that knowledge of where the market is going. So in that sense he said, okay, the customer will be right because I know they're going to like this because I've forward seen that this is how the market is going to go and this is how the world is going to develop. So it's a mix and match of the two. And again, it goes back to something we focused on before in the last podcast. You have to be fixing a real problem, right? Because if you go out and fix a real problem, then the customer's just going to want you anyway. You've identified a problem because you've been quietly listening in the background for all the gripes and grumbles that people have had. And it goes again back to listening to the customer. Yeah. Even if they don't even realise you're listening to them, you're going through and you're going through the Twitters and you're going through the Facebook and you're going through all the social media and you're realising there's a trend. Because that's where every new invention comes from, right?
That's really important then, isn't it?
Some people don't listen. Now on YouTube, like, the comments field is so important because you see it all the time. Lots of people putting comments. People go, "Who says enough to put comments on there?" But if you're only successful on YouTube, you literally have to go through the comments and see what people are saying. Because when you see what people are saying, if it's not too negative, you can either build on it and add value to people. A lot of people say, I don't want to look for my comments, I don't want to see the feedback.
How many businesses out there though actually read their comments, read their Twitters, or do they have somebody to do it for them, or have auto?
It doesn't make any difference whether they have it. So you can have it depends on what you're offering. If you're a service-based business and you've got an individual, so let's use somebody like, let's use a motivational speaker for example. Don't be specific on one, but say you've got a motivational speaker and that's
he's one man back.
Well, he's not one man back. There is a team behind him,
yeah.
But he is like the product in itself,
person,
right?
Yeah.
So if you're doing that, I would expect you to be. You don't actually have to be the one responding. You might have other people in your team doing it. But I do expect you to be listening to that feedback coming in.
Yeah,
so your customer service team or your social media marketing team, they come back and they tell you what the comments are, and you feed into them. The people who go, I just don't want to, because some people are like that. They can't take feedback. They can't take negative feedback. Yeah. They don't like the idea that what they're offering isn't the truth straight away, right? And that's what will be the barrier that stops them from progressing their business forward. Because nobody's perfect first time round. You come out and you have future iterations, but those iterations should always be based on what the customer's feedback is, not based on you thinking, oh yeah, I think I had a great idea. Loads of people are giving me feedback, but I don't want to listen to that. I'm going to make the next iteration. And you know me, I'm a full believer in people can give me feedback, and I'm ready to take feedback. I don't always change my mind on it because sometimes I'm fully aware of where I'm going. But when it comes to additional services to offer, or if you've got a product, additional enhancements you can make, then straight up you should always take that on board. Because it could be if it's one person who wants it, and then that goes against the 99 others, then that's just the 99% that it takes, right?
Surely it will be a number. If you're getting a certain amount of feedback from a large proportion of people, then you'll have to take that on board.
Well, it's what defines what defines the volume that's going to change your business.
Yeah.
So if it's 10% negative feedback versus 90%, I might say, actually, I want to bring off a side product. Or I might want to, for my service, I might want to create a new pillar and a specific niche to focus to that 10% while still serving the 90% that are already happy. If it's 1% versus 99%, well, I might just have to accept that. I will try and interact personally with that 1% to try and understand how I can make enhancements to it, but I'm not going to change a product that works 99% of the time.
Would you waste your time in interacting with that 1%?
Would I? Yes, because every customer is worth, again, every customer is somebody I want to keep for life, right? So I would spend the time to interact with them because maybe there is something that I can make a change for, or maybe you can through the conversation. Yeah, exactly, through the conversation. Would I just ignore them? I don't believe in just ignoring somebody. Again, I believe that the customer, you should always aim to give value to every single customer that you can. And that means taking time out to focus on listening to them and interacting with them. And that is a big problem that I think a lot of people overlook it because they have those feedback channels, and like Josh said, they don't pay attention to them. It's never been easier in history to listen to the customer. You don't even have to ask for them to give feedback anymore. They will give it across the platforms. So go out on Twitter, find out where you're being mentioned. Listen out on Snapchat for the people who are responding, the messages that come back, the comments that you get on YouTube, the Facebook feedback you get back. All of those platforms, they're all opportunities to listen to feedback. And that's before you even go through the effort of saying, right, I'm going to send out a questionnaire, I'm going to go and interact, I'm going to set up focus groups, I'm going to set up a network and event and bring in some of my customers and sit down with them and say, right, critique everything about my business. What is it that you want to see more of? Good, note it down. I'm going to take that away and I'm going to come back and offer you something more. And again, it just goes back to, and it's just value. Doesn't mean that every time that I'm going to offer you this, I'm going to make you pay for it. Actually, a lot of times I'm not. It's what you get with the things like ebooks, and some of them, when it comes to, again, you've gone through what ethical businesses do before. Some people are just giving you an ebook so they can get you on their email newsletter and then they can spray out online marketing to you. But then you get the subset who are giving you, download this free ebook and it's massive value. Then you can sign up to my weekly newsletter and it's massive value every week on that newsletter. The difference between you saying junk mail, put it in your clutter, put it on whatever rules you want to do, automatic delete, to marking that I'm going to pay attention to this every week, is how much value it offers. Is it putting me first? Is it making me feel every week for free, this person is giving me immense value? Because all of a sudden, I like that person. I pay attention to when the emails come out. I support them online. I support them offline. For somebody who's just going to sell to me, first off, I'm probably going to ignore them. Then they might try and get a bit direct. Then I'm actually going to try and reject them and stay away from their business completely. And again, it goes back to, are you looking for a quick sale or a long-term business?
Long term. Don't rip off the customer. Add value. Listen to your customer. I think
Straight up.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, this works outside of just a new business. This works in your career as well, right? So I fully believe when you're going in, so when you're at work, and it can be a bit, we'll probably do a little video on this, because there's a difference between giving and being exploited when you're in a career environment and a kind of office environment. You can't afford to be naive when you're doing it in a professional instance, but at the same time, who are your key stakeholders? How can I give massive value to them? How can I go over and beyond? Because the difference between the person who's just good, the person who's just good just does what they're told and they put a bit of effort in it. The person who's really good thinks, right, how can I do that and a little bit more? The person who's great is the person who goes, do you know what? This is the task I've been given to do, but actually, I think that they could get even more value on this. I'm going to go back not only with what they asked me for, I'm going to go back with what they didn't ask me for, because I've looked at the gaps that go on in our business and I've seen how I can offer immense value. And you go back, did you work weekends? Do you want to charge overtime for that? No, it's just I'm offering value. So again, it comes even just outside of your new business. That's how can you offer maximum value? And doing that extra mile, not just to do that extra mile to say, I went and did that extra mile just to get paid more. I went and did that extra mile because what it can give back. So just always focus on giving over taking. Giving trumps taking every day of the week.
Yeah, 100%. Anything you want to say?
No, I think
yeah?
I think we covered it.
Yeah? Alright then.
I think, and again, do you know what it is? We're going to do this every week. You give. And do you know when you stop giving? You don't. You just don't. Just keep giving, and you just rinse and repeat that.
That's
always
what we're doing.
We're
going to keep giving you content. That was Lifessa Lounge, episode 6. You'll see us again next week and through the week with some more videos during the week. Alright.
And remember, life is only as good as your mindset.
Peace out.
Peace.